This is great music for flying a drone. Okay, Jen. It's like you got it done, bro. Good job. Missy dyed her hair today. Looks better than salon done. And a very good afternoon, everybody. What is today? The 24th just got done. I was going to do a show my clothing haul, but I really ran myself with the lawnmower, kicked up a rock, and just absolutely blasted my leg today. So I'm not feeling like putting clothes on and off. And I hope everybody's having a good day. Nice to see everybody out here. You know, normally, let this just finish out a second. Hey, Nick, how you doing? Jasmine, Vegas Vixen, how you doing, sweetie? Andrea, Robert, handsome Robert in the house. Cheryl, hippie, if I missed anybody, Kaylee, my apologies. Oda May, how you doing, sweetie? And we've got the lovely This Girl's Journey Barrel. We got Carla's Binky Boo. Darlene, how are you? And welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday afternoon here. Just finished cutting the grass. I did come in and catch a video where Cat Glam Life did a video. It was kind of a little bit tongue-in-cheek. But there's a lot of substance behind what's going on in her life. Many of you may not know we have a history at times it's been fun. We've had a history at times it's been absolutely brutal. We've been in situations at odds, and I can't say I'm an enemy with somebody, But let's just say we were definitely on the outs about a year ago this time. And, you know, through it all, we kind of rediscovered each other, and through the trials and the hellfire of divorce and the brutality of trying to, hey Cassidy, and the brutality of trying to get a life from rubble. She really came to find out who really values friendship. And I'm not necessarily talking monetarily, but legally. You know, we've been through the mill. There's tons of stuff that will never see the light of day here on YouTube. And that's often the way it should be. Hey, Barbie girl, that's often the way it should be. It should be something that's confidential. I mean, we have this ability on Boyd to pull out the, you know, we never go back and get the honor roll items that a person did. But boy, sometimes we're good at hauling out the negative stuff. And it paints quite a dire picture sometimes of somebody's life. Okay, anybody that woke up yesterday, not many of you did, and were on her feed, saw her on cam, for me for the first time in years, in a fully tearful state, depressed, full of angst, full of fear, full of nervousness about the future. The video was, of course, subsequently taken down. But there was something there. There's definitely a fear factor that you can see in the eye. It's often belied by humor, laughing. It's a life that has to be rejigged. And when I don't ever give advice, I don't ever come out and do videos unless somebody specifically asks me, tells me I need your help or I want your input. I will weigh in on that. And I think it comes down to me, the main aspect is battling depression when you don't even know the tools that you have to do it. And I think too often we think these days that the solution to a lot of that, and there's different types, I understand. There's chemical depression. I'm not a psychologist. I don't play one on TV. And I sure as hell didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night, but I have observed a lot of life over 60 years. And I can tell you these days, our first reaction, our first course of action tends to be to go for some, how you doing, Debbie? To go for some sort of chemical remedy, some sort of drug therapy that induces a feel-good factor in us and makes us feel better. But it's like giving you a painkiller when your foot has been amputated. Yeah, it feels good for a little while. You know, when the painkiller is there, you feel great, but you still have the issue of not having your foot. You can be treated for depression. And I know that there's different types of depression. I know that to be a fact. But I'm just saying, when it comes to the depression, it's born of helplessness. And it's born of not having really established your own sense of identity through the traditional tools that society uses to measure jobs, house, life, order, not having to really worry where the next meal's coming from. It's quite a brutal change to suddenly be in a situation where, you know what it was like in December and January and February, in the very darkest times, of not even knowing how you're going to pay an electric bill, the means to accomplish something like that. So when I saw you yesterday, and I thought, well, I got some ideas on that. I thought I would go over that today. Just my own. These are just my own opinions. But as you do know, as your good friend Rory Vegas Vixen knows, I do care, and I do care a lot, as does Rory, about your future. You were in a situation where you had not had the need to work before. and you had fashioned a world to find your, this is my opinion, since you asked, to find your world of worth, your world of self-esteem, became enmeshed in material things. You know, the things that you could acquire, the things that gave additional beauty, and I think that you're a beautiful woman from the get-go, let me say that. But not being able to, or not having that job to sort of give you that feedback of productivity and income related to that, the self-worth of accomplishing something, working within a team environment, going and pursuing, pushing paper, saving lives, doing whatever people do on a daily, pumping gas, fixing cars. There's that feel-good factor that comes with that, that many people that just amble along without having to, you know, to have achieved their own support, never come to realize the positive aspects that come from being productive, from getting out of bed every day, putting your feet on the floor, as I did for over 40 years, 30 years at 5 a.m. in the morning, and getting up and punching a time clock and producing something of value, something to show at the end of the day, something that you don't sit there and tell yourself when you get in the car, man, you punched out 800 widgets today, Rock, and you just come out and know you earned your pay, you earned your right to be here, you earned the food that you buy, you earned the clothes that you buy, the vacation that you buy, the car that you purchase. You and you alone earn that. And when people don't have that feedback mechanism of productivity or the need to provide for themselves, they're going to find other ways to define themselves. And having observed you and being on and off your friend, and now a really true friend in the truest sense through the darkest times, I can now put your life in perspective and tell you that what is missing in your life is the feedback mechanisms of accomplishment. Okay, that's what's missing in your life. Your prior valuation came from and stemmed from the beautiful tennis bracelet that you would show, the luscious cosmetics and things that I wouldn't even know what the hell they are, much less how to apply them. Pretty dogs, satin beds, satin sheets, a glamorous life. That defined who you were, the stability of marriage. The feeling when you walk down that aisle with somebody, the expectation is that it will be forever. There will be nothing to upend your life. But the one thing that's missing, I think, when you are in that world of finding your self-worth, your self-esteem on material things, you really lose, because you never had it, the ability to value what it takes to earn that, what it takes to produce that. They simply appear in your world. Money gets dropped into a checking account. Money gets put on a credit card. You know, trips, luxury, condo. But for you, from your perspective, not being out there on the battlefront, so to speak, as your husband was, starting and founding and running a business, you're really kind of insulated from the realities of what it takes to make a dollar and what it takes to earn something. So not knowing the value of it, you're not apt to be money wise, or to understand the importance of planning for the future, the importance of building, saving, accumulating. Your world becomes defined by what you can spend today and what you can acquire tomorrow. Because money there's no yardstick that you have to value money other than the trinkets that it can buy. Whereas other people get up, punch the clock. Boy, do they know dearly. Boy, do they know dearly what it takes. What it takes to to have success and have money flowing in. This is, I think, in my mind, something that stifled your ability, your self-esteem, especially when the house of cards came tumbling down and you envisioned a time that you didn't before, that the future's not going to be the way that you imagine it. Now you're going to have to battle for a slice of the pie. Now you're going to have to build some kind of future, but you feel paralyzed with fear, haunted by depression, because you don't know the steps to take to make that happen, to do that leap. But when you think about it, it's very logical. What you're lacking is the feedback mechanisms that help build self-esteem. I do stupid shit on the daily, but I feel pretty good on the daily because I'm an outward sort of person. If I can make somebody laugh, if I can make somebody chuckle, have a good time, pay my bills, be responsible, then I consider it successful. The problem, Kat, is having defined your world in a material sense, you're now in a position where everything's having to be sold to raise money, to downsize a life. And now you have to redefine yourself as a person. That is a brutal, brutal thing to do. Yesterday morning was an enormous step forward, an enormous, gigantic step forward. For the first time in years, some of us saw your face on cam. And it probably wasn't the reactions that you thought that you might get. I looked at the comment section. All my friends from Juice on down the line were positive. You're a beautiful woman. You are a beautiful woman. Okay. What you're missing is the physical feedback that comes from being part of society. You shut yourself into a house, an apartment. You have no feedback mechanism except what you might get on your odd shopping trips out here and there. What you fear is negative things in a community because you set your store by beauty. You set your store by the success of Gucci bags or Chanel bags. But you'll find that that type of reinforcement is very, very fleeting. It doesn't have a long-term feel-good factor to it. What makes you feel good and what builds your self-esteem and my self-esteem and everybody on that side chat's self-esteem is other people's opinions of us. Is what really feeds the machine. It's the thing that hopefully guides us and keeps us going, so we're doing kind of positive things. We're not participating maybe in the draggings. We're trying to rise above, and as Lincoln once said, appeal to the angels of our better nature. That's the stuff that really, really feeds the soul and feeds the self-esteem. When you begin to put yourself out there, which you must do in your case because your prior world was about beauty, glamorousness, the finer things in life. You've not lost that knowledge, okay? You've not lost that knowledge. What you must do is repackage your life so that you can provide a lot more use to people and tell people how to manage and look glamorous that don't have $100,000 in a checking account, that don't have the ability to go out and buy $25,000 tennis bracelets. In other words, you got the corner on glamorous, share it. Get back to doing the stuff that made you happy. You're not defined by the money that you have or don't have. You're defined by the skill. You're defined by the interaction that you have with people. And many a time over the years, I've watched you sit on the satin, in front of the satin headboard, looking all girly-fied, looking all sweet. Give people a chance in this community and others to build your self-esteem. That's number one in my mind. Since you asked, let people start to build your self-esteem instead of living in a world where you think that you are going to be judged harshly because of a failed marriage, because of a current state of a lack of income. Redefine yourself as a glamorous woman once again and come out proudly and take your place in a community and show people what you got. You're a beautiful woman. We're in a world of 2019. There ain't a hell of a lot of skinny people walking around. I have the misfortune putting on my clothes shopping adventure where I look like a porky little sausage in the changing rooms. And I just cringe. But I just think to myself, people get a laugh out of that. It's Rosie being Rosie. It's what people expect. You feel good when you're sharing things of the glamorous life. But I'll tell you what, share a glamorous life with people that don't necessarily have the means to achieve that. Then you really have something. Show people how to do more with less. Stake out your place on YouTube. Come back. Start making your videos. Start getting yourself made up. Come back as the glamorous gal that we know you are. And hell, you're 10 years younger than I am. Okay, that's number one. That's how I think that you build self-esteem. The other way you build self-esteem and battle depression, remember, the first one is letting people interact with your life, putting yourself out there as the real you. And you'll find that the world ain't so terrible, that the dog's bark is much worse than its bite. And let people surprise you with their beauty, their generosity, their great spirits. Okay? Remember, there's so many people in this side chat. I see Cassidy Hampton, although I know what she looks like. So many people out here that are just names on the side chat, but they're people behind it. We'll never know what they look like. They could come on here on the daily and flame the living hell out of everybody, and nobody would ever know who they are. But you know what? They listen to their angels of better nature, and they do positive things here on YouTube for no reward. They're not getting anything out of it. But man, the number of those people compared to the negatives on here are so overwhelming. You have nothing to fear but fear itself, in my opinion. Number two, spirituality dimension. You know, it's almost an anachronism. It's almost a throwback to these days. It's almost like you almost feel sometimes freakish when you talk about religion. And I'm not a preacher. I've stood next to Jimmy Swaggart. I've sampled different churches. I went back to my roots this year. I had not been in a church in 15 years, much less gone to a confession. But I want to tell you what, I knew in February of this year, I knew that I was fucked spiritually. You know, all the stuff had come down in the community, all the fallout from the decisions I made to meet people in January were all coming home to roost in my mind. Things that have passed. And, you know, I decided the time had come the only way I knew, the way I was raised, it wasn't through, and other people find their own path through Buddhism and Judaism, some through Islam. I returned, I made an appointment, I sat down with the priest, and I laid out my whole crappy existence. And I asked God to forgive me at that moment. And when I walked out of that meeting with that priest, and believe me, I thought his head would be spinning, okay? Right? I felt on top of the world, something that's still carried forward to right now. I slip a little bit, but you know what? I felt like my soul had been cleared. I felt fantastic. You live in Las Vegas now, one of the most dynamic communities in the United States. You have synagogues. Get up, get yourself dressed on a Saturday, Friday evening. Get yourself to a service and start getting around fellow people at the temple. Start to communicate with people. Make an appointment and sit down with a rabbi. You may have the same outcome I had. You may, hey Breezy, you may feel re-energized again. You may be able to put this world in perspective, given where the state of the world and things are today. You know, I always tell people, you want to freak somebody out, tell them that you're living on a small rock hurtling through space at some ungodly speed, thousands of miles an hour in an expanding universe with no freaking idea where in the hell you're going. Hope you don't hit nothing on the way. It really helps define life. Sit down with a rabbi, join a community, be a part of the community. Tell the rabbi you want to reorder your life. You have to build a life. Lay your problem on someone else. Share your problem with the community. I know it sounds hokey, but share your problem with God too. Okay? That's number 2 for beating depression, having the feedback of community. You're a spiritual person. You've been to Israel. You talk of things like the Holocaust and Ari's parents being Holocaust survivors. What you're basically saying on the daily is that you want to get in touch with your roots again. You're not going to do that sitting in your bed. But I tell you, the first time you make the effort, the first time you go to meet the rabbi, the first time you go to a service, you're going to walk out of there feeling on top of the world. Your life will suddenly be put in perspective again. How you doing, Joe? Independence now. You know, you and I have talked, you and I communicate. We've sent a lot of, I've weighed in on legal shit. I've helped draft legal shit. I've looked at a ton of legal filings and proceedings. You have several choices for the future, and I hope that you'll choose wisely. You may, hey, Cab 7, you may be in a position where you will be offered as a spouse, a non-working spouse, some type of support, some type of, I think you absolutely will be, some type of monetary settlement. I think it's direly critical if you're in a state where you're not able to, a state of physicality where you're not able to work, that you get yourself established, not some short-term lump sum thing, because I think you would have difficulty managing that because you theoretically did not earn it. And the potential is very high to blow that. Sad to say, until you achieve a degree of independence, it really is critical, I think, to have some type of overlay of money management on you. I would hope that you would hold out for a monthly, some type of alimony settlement. But I think the ultimate solution is you got a brain, you got 2 hands, you might be, your mobility might be limited, but the ability to get a job today is great in the world, particularly in Las Vegas. And a lot of them don't require a lot of mobility to go to a casino and say, well, I might have to sit in a chair, but I can work in accounting, cash counting room. I could be trained up to sit there and look at a security monitor and watch people in a casino. There's so many things. There's so many things that you could do in Las Vegas that don't need a high degree of mobility, and that will give you a positive feedback, which will further push back the black curtain of depression, allow you to meet and become friends with new people, and establish a new life and feel like you're an integral part of a community, and give you that feedback of money that you earned in your own hand that you won't blow. You will value that tremendously because the first time, maybe ever, you earn that money by the sweat of your own brow, and you're not just gonna throw it away on overpriced jewelry. Hey, Deb D, if y'all have any comments, since she asked, I think that's very sound advice. But the last thing I want to leave you with, Kat, is this idea. As I said last night in somebody else's hangout, to me, the depression is born of the absence of not having any hope for the future. You can't ever, depressed people can't envision a change that's going to make their future brighter. They think what is today is going to be tomorrow. There will be no improvement. There will be no white knight. There will be no cavalry coming over. Nothing will ever change in my life. So why get out of bed and make the effort? What you need is to sit down and establish a guiding light, a goal of what you want to accomplish. Once you set yourself on that goal, I want to be independent. Everything else flows back from that. Well, I guess I'll have to learn to drive, and you start to build a to-do list. I guess I'll have to do this. You'd be amazed how the backflow starts to fall into place. But until you tell yourself, this is what I want, because you don't do that. You're not doing that right now. You're looking at every day as a curtain comes up on 24 hours. Well, it's Monday. Okay, it's like Sunday. Well, it's like Saturday. You're not pulling towards anything. Your mind, your strong inner mind cannot pull you towards anything, because as the Chinese said, if you don't know where you're going, every road will take you there. What you're missing is a goal. Maybe your goal is to be remarried, which is not the worst thing in the world. Maybe your goal is to find a Jewish sugar daddy or another sugar daddy. But I don't even know if you have that goal in your mind. Might be achieved by going to temple. Might be achieved by reintegrating yourself into a Jewish community and meeting eligible people, bachelors and divorcees and widowers. In other words, that's not a bad life plan, but you have to plan for it, Yes, Radar. Get a goal. Get a goal. How you doing, Fritz? Nice to see you. The flowers are blooming. Look for support groups, go to the library and books and starting. Just set a goal. What would you like to be? Would you like to be a homemaker living in Las Vegas? Then build towards that. Would you like to be a casino shift manager? Would you like to run a retail store? Would you like to be a retail store manager? Would you like to work for a jewelry store? Would you like to work at Tiffany's? Right now, you don't have a goal in life. Your goal has just been survive, make do until you get your settlement. But when your settlement finally comes through for your divorce, that's where you're going to run into your real next hurdle. And that's what I think, since you asked me, you better start thinking about what you want. There's no shame in saying that I want to be a homemaker. I want the life that I used to have with somebody else. To me, there's no shame in that. There's an honesty and a decency in that too. So start making your plans to make that happen. It's not going to happen when you're bed surfing there. I've had goals all my life. Doesn't affect God. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Tasha. I'm of a different sort of era. We didn't have all the, thank God we didn't have all the chemical understanding back then. But we sure as hell didn't have the rates of depression and the inability of the equivalent of, the population of New England depressed. People had to work their asses off to put food on the table. The rat race. There weren't no off ramps. Hey, Happy Meal. The rates of depression in China are almost unmeasurable until now. With the affluence of Chinese society, the depression is starting to rise. Because once again, people realize that fulfillment doesn't come from material things and flaunting it. It comes from having relationships with people and working together and being productive and producing and being part of a community. Once you become affluent, you start to break those bonds of community and you rise above to a world of loneliness and desolateness, in my mind. How you doing, Shannon? I really believe there's something to that. That depression is self-hatred or also a lack of self-esteem. I'm not an answer to stuff, but you asked me. How you doing, Wog? Since you asked me, there's my thoughts on it. That's right, Tasha. Everybody's a doctor nowadays, and everybody wants the 30-second solution. But you tell people the real deal of working hard, earning your own pay, having good positive relationships, a dimension of spirituality. It's almost like, oh man, you stepped out of a Leave It to Beaver movie, a Leave It to Beaver episode. Well, it's also the unlimited, the horrors of unlimited choice and freedom. Like I told you before, the more money you have, the more choices you have. And remember the story I told yesterday about the university that did the study of jams, and they measured people's satisfaction in taste testing jams. And they had group A that had 3 choices of jams, okay? And they had group B, which had like 100 jams on the table. And inevitably, no matter how many times they ran the test, group A with the most limited choices exhibited the highest degree of satisfaction. Okay? Think about that. Unlimited choice is the enemy of happiness. Affluence is the enemy of happiness. There's something to it when people say money can't buy happiness. Well, it can rent it, it can short term it, but it's probably true for the long term. It's people, people, people. Hey, BBE, baby boomers are real as the Gen X millennials are full of shit. It's just different generations. If you're not born with a silver spoon, you work to get one. And that has some positive rewards for that. Psychiatry is the road to dependency, drug therapy instead of nutrition. I just think a good core of it is just laziness too. We've now given people off-ramps off of the highway of productivity. They don't do that in other societies. People don't have time. When they're working their ass off, planting rice in third world countries and fighting to put food on the table. Yeah, they might be bemoan their fate, but they get up on the daily and they keep moving forward. Yeah, go buy a dog at the shelter. There you go, Fitz. But even that's doing something for another being, and I think that that's the key. Give you the pride of accomplishment. That's right. Yeah, I think there's something to that, Tasha. But to me, suicide is the ultimate. Suicide to me is the ultimate. You know, the ultimate expression of hopelessness. But we all know life has curves and bends and things that we never imagined or thought could ever happen. And it's the giving up, absolute loss of hope. Well, it's short. I was asked, Glenda. It's coming to an end now. How you doing, Cupcake? I believe Kat will find a lot of value in what I said here today. More than that, if she chooses to raise her profile in the community, engage in positive behaviors and build people up, come on camera and share herself, she'll find a well of positive reinforcement that will energize her. I feel sure. It's like priming the pump. It's like priming the pump with starter fluid. You got to start somewhere. People need to stop feeling sorry for them. That's it. That's right, Wog. You think people that have worked for 40, 46 years, you think I'm happy putting my feet on the floor at 5 a.m.? You don't think there were some days of, fuck, how many years to retirement? Yeah. But when you have responsibilities and stuff, you don't take the off-ramp. Good evening, y'all. Hootie, nice to see you. Yeah, she did. She'll have her great reveal. Yeah, no couch surfing. That's right. It's something that you decide to do. And then worse than that, if you choose to be one of those people that has chosen to live that kind of simple life and have that small amount of a government sustenance every month, I've seen people become embittered because of the success that others still working achieve. And it gives them a whole negative cast on what they think other people have the right to earn or to do in life. Remember, you hit the off-ramp already. At least give credit to other people for still being on the highway. You might not like how they do it, how they earn it, but they're still up on the highway. That's right, Cobra John. It took 46 years for me. And I'll probably still be at Wally World being a greeter down there. Yeah, suicide ruins families. It does. It does. Yeah, there you go, Terry. I fight the fight every day. Yeah. Yeah, suicide is also the ultimate loss of spirituality. It's the ultimate loss in something beyond this world. It's the ultimate of giving up on it. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to keep this short and sweet. Probably be back. I'm going to put up the shopping video and then see what I'm going to do this evening. So I want to thank you guys for being along and listening. And your feedback's welcome, and be supportive. You know, be kind. So thank you very much, everybody. See you around. I won't do it often, Yo Hootie. You know me. Frivolous bullshit entertainment. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much, Fred. I appreciate it. Much love to you. Thank you. Thanks for watching, everybody.